Good evening, everyone. Good evening to the esteemed panel. Let me first begin with a brief introduction about myself, and I'll then request the panelists as well for their brief introduction, and then we'll probably begin with the panel discussion. So I'm Shubham Arora. As just announced, I'm a partner with KPMG. I lead the digital government advisory practice at KPMG in India. Primarily dealing with cybersecurity and technology consulting solutions, focusing on defense and homeland security. When I got an invite for this topic per se, digital trust in public systems, I think this is a topic which is very, very famous in recent times. We are all seeing a lot of situations, a lot of news appearing in the media, where this the topic is being discussed, and how and when and where. I think somebody in the previous panel also mentioned about it. How do we make our systems more cyber secure? So it intrigued me a lot, and that's how I really wanted to be part of the panel. So with this, maybe I'll request my fellow panelists to just give a brief introduction and what brings them here on the panel, probably with that, and then we will continue with the discussion, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Yudhishthir. I'm part of the Indian CERT, and within CERT, I'm looking after the national SOC operations. So we're coordinating security incidents at the national level. And apart from that, I've been involved with various training programs of CERTIN, and also framing of guidelines and advisories, which CERTIN has been issuing these days. Yeah.
So can I just take 1 second in between? Thank you. I'm so sorry. So one of our panelists has joined, and may I please invite on stage Mr. Himanshu Joshi, Deputy Secretary, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Sir, a very warm welcome to you. I'm so sorry. Please carry on.
Oh, thank you. I think we'll get an additional minute because of this.
Everyone. So I'm Saurabh Basu.
No, sure. Please continue. No, I was just saying we should get one more minute to now, because this is interrupted. So sorry. Welcome, Himanshu ji.
So good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Saurabh Basu. So I am scientist, and I'm doing heading the enterprise cybersecurity business of CDOT. So where we have developed our indigenous complete cyber stack. So I look after heading the product division over CDOT.
Yeah. Good evening. Myself Santosh Kumar Jain, and I represent Grid Controller of India Limited.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Salman Mahmood. I'm DGM working in Food Corporation of India. I have a little non-technical background, but keen interest in technology and its aspects, so that's bring me here in this panel. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Shriyaj Kamli here. I basically head the product delivery with Skillmind Technology, where we basically handle the entire cyber security, governance, business intelligence, and learning intelligence system.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Himanshu Joshi. I'm Deputy Secretary to the Government of India. I am pretty much the nodal officer for IT-related initiatives of the government, of my ministry. Along with that, I'm looking after AI and cybersecurity verticals, and we are sure that the government is serving people in the best capabilities in cybersecurity and cyber resilience. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Maybe I'll just kickstart the discussion by mentioning about some of the key things which I would want to hear from these experts on the panel. I think, as the name suggests, primarily the first one would be how do we not only create our systems cyber safe by design, but how do we ensure that we give that confidence to our citizens in the country today that yes, whatever their data is, wherever it is being kept, I think some other panelists in the previous panel was mentioning the data is everywhere. So our surface area for data is much high today. So how do we give that confidence to the citizens at large that we as organizations in the private sector or we as organizations from the government side are able to keep their data protected and in a way which is law abiding as well. So I think that is one thing that I would really want to hear from all the experts in the room. I think second is about so many compliances. I think Yudhishthir ji just mentioned about certain coming up with a lot of compliances every now and then. How do we ensure that all of the other government organizations per se, whether it is central government or state government, how do we ensure that we keep a checklist of such compliances? So maybe I'll first hand over the mic to sir from CERTIN here and request him that what is his view, what is CERTIN doing in this space, both from a citizen standpoint as well as from a regulation standpoint.
So, thank you. Yes, we are nowadays very busy. I think all the hullabaloo around Mythos and everything, I would like to say it is not only Mythos. Normal AI models are equally capable of detecting vulnerabilities because our systems have not been built to be secure. They have been built to provide a function, and security had been an afterthought. But nevertheless, the Government of India realizes the problem, and that is why at least my organization has been very active. We are regularly coordinating with all the relevant stakeholders, be it the OEMs, the software and solution developers, the organizations which is hosting your critical data, and the security agencies. All are sitting on a common platform, we're coordinating on a daily basis. That is why you are seeing a lot of communication advisories which have come from CERTIN. In April, we came up with an advisory because the threat is very large. Because in earlier times, in very recent times also, even APTs, they would take about 1 to 2 months to undertake an attack, or it could be extended to some months only. But with the coming of the AI, this attack timeline, all the cyber kill chain activities, that timeline has shrunk drastically. It has come down to even hours. So using the AIs, they can do easily reconnaissance, they can find vulnerabilities very easily, even they can develop the exploits very easily. So we have realized this problem, and in fact, we are working very closely with specific sectors, the critical sectors, the banking institutes, the power institutes. We are working with them, and that is why those advisories and guidelines have come up. We have defined timelines that within so much days or hours, such and such vulnerabilities have to be patched. We have requested all of you to reduce your attack services. The services which are not required, they should be closed, and vulnerability patching should not be a periodic activity. It now has to be a continuous activity. At the same time, when we are requesting the organizations, because it's a complete ecosystem, with the OEMs, we are also in talks with them. We have requested them to use AI to identify vulnerabilities in their systems. They should not rely on traditional testing. That should be there. But we have also requested them to use AI-based technologies to identify vulnerabilities within their systems and intimate CERT within as soon as they found as soon as they are able to find it, so that we can inform the impacted organizations to patch. So that framework we are building up, and I am hopeful that the impact of all this would be certainly minimized. I am not saying that it will be zero, but it would be minimized. I also do understand that for organizations, if you get 100 patches in a day, how are you going to patch it? It is going to be an operational challenge, because it is not that just you install the patch and you are live and running. You have to test this patch did not impact any of my functionality, and that is how we do. We apply patches one by one, but if in a day you are applying 100 patches, so it is going to be a very operational challenge. And as the topic of this session is that we have to have a very good ecosystems. We need to work in a very collaborative manner, like all the agencies were involved in the COVID fighting, and I am sure we will work in a very collaborative manner, and this problem would be addressed. Thank you.
I think that's a very valid point, sir, because building capacity we need to be a step ahead of our competition here, which is basically attackers. So we really need to build that capacity within ourselves, and that capacity cannot come from one organization per se. It has to be a very concerted, collaborative effort. Okay, so thank you, sir. I think I'll move on to the next speaker, considering the time we have, sir. So I'll lean on to Saurabh, sir, here. Sir, you come from CDOT. I think CDOT being an organization which is at the helm of sovereign at its core, because you are the ones who are building technology within the nation from end to end. So how do you see CDOT handling the question of building digital trust? Because if CDOT is able to justify and create that kind of a notion with citizens, with government and with other government departments at large, because you also serve, one of your prominent customers is armed forces. So if CDOT is able to be cyber safe and propagate that as a culture within themselves, I believe that will be a very strong point to make. So how do you believe CDOT is playing that role, sir?
Definitely. So, before going to how CDOT is doing, I just want to bring some mythological aspects. So, if you talk about the sovereign tech, why sovereign tech is required, first we need to understand that. So, Lanka is a inaccessible fort, but somehow Ram able to enter that. How? Because someone insider, Bibhisana has passed on the insider information to
Correct.
the Ram. So that's why the thing is that whatever technology we deploy in any sector, be it telecom, be it cyber, so whatever the black box foreign technology we do, so which we can't audit. So audit means we don't know its source code, how it's function, what's its accountability, what data it passes. So something in the digital ecosystem, whatever system, I'm not saying we should not take up foreign black box technology, but we should have a clear understanding of what technology we are going to put in our network. So that should be trustworthy. So trustworthy, so ensuring citizens trustworthy, first you need to make your systems trustworthy. You need to understand who is building the fort, he is trustworthy. In this direction, CDOT, building the complete end-to-end cybersecurity portfolio from operationalization SOC, so starting from endpoint security to network security to SIEM, SOAR, everything is in-house. CDOT not only stops on that, CDOT also building the complete telecom stack. So BSNL's 4G, 5G, that was a mandate came from the government that BSNL networks run the typical government traffics. So how are we going to secure telecom? Because once our critical infrastructure and critical information passes by the BSNL network, so that must run on a trustworthy technology. That's why CDOT comes into our 4G, 5G stacks. Next, we don't stop into that. We also come up with what are the coming in future. So quantum is now reality now. Before this panel discussion, Professor Dubey is saying that quantum is now become reality. So we have already established our quantum portfolio, which has been already being tested in trial in armed force, in banking sectors, same as our cyber security portfolio, which is already being adapted in the banking sectors and other sectors. Third point is that if now how we adapt this technology, the sovereign technology. So here we need to also understand that in Samudra Manthan, we yelled Amrita. Now, before Amrit comes, you have the poisons came first. And Lord Shiva has to engulf the poison. So, whatever technology, if you want to do Samudra Manthan, then it will definitely, if you skip the hard work of that, you have to assume the poison if you want to get the nectar of the Amrita. So in that aspect, I just wanted to shortly highlight that if you want to Amrita, then there will be definitely some mehnat. You have to engulf the poisons. So indigenous sovereign technology, if you adopt indigenous sovereign technology, initially you need to face certain hurdles. In hurdles, sometimes there may be longer implementation time, longer integration times. Else you have to face backdoors, kill switches, and your critical data, your critical data will be passing on to the telemetry will be passing on to the foreign land soils. So all the thing is already defined as a part of, already defined in our mythology. So if you go by our mythology, you will definitely find what is the need of sovereign technology. And in these sites, complete C dot stack, be it implementing critical sectors, be it C dot, we have believed in this mythological philosophy, so Atmanirbhar. So in that direction, we have already done the things. So our Trinetra stacks for cyber security, for quantum security, for 5G, 4G, we have created whole ecosystems. Now we had to roll it out and adapt appropriately for the critical sectors.
No, I think very valid point, sir, because the kind of scale that we are dealing with here is no less than a Samudra Manthan per se, because we are close to, I think, 145 crore Aadhaar cards today in the country. We have about 85% mobile penetration in the country today. So the kind of data that we are dealing with is huge. And I'm sure the kind of effort that organization like CDOT are making with like Yudhishthir sir just mentioned, that a lot of capacity enhancement will need to be required, because the solutions that you are building needs to go to the last mile. And hence, for that, all of us probably, private sector, government sector, need to come together and ensure that we are able to take it forward. I think with this, I'll move to Santosh sir here, because sir, you come from grid, and which is primarily a critical infrastructure in the country today. How do you believe organizations like grid are facing, what are the key challenges that you are facing in basically keeping your infrastructure cyber safe? And what is probably a plan for an organization like grid? What should be a typical plan for an organization like grid to remain cyber safe and build trust of the citizens in the systems that you have, sir?
Okay, thank you. It's a very good question. Basically, if you think about digital trust, so sometimes other stakeholders claim that trust is a synonym for Grid India. Basically, that level of trust we are maintaining in Grid India, right? And before understanding the security, we need to understand the intensity of the electricity sector. Like in last 10 years, it has more than doubled if you compare with the installed capacity, which was 249 gigawatts, and now it is hovering around 500 gigawatts. For coal and gas plants, basically, it took 28 to 30 years to become 10 times, and 40 years. And for solar and wind, it took only 8 to 12 years to become 10 times. You can understand the intensity of this particular development in electric sector. So basically, earlier we had to deal with some handful of generators, transmission utilities. But now there are millions of, nodes basically. If you understand that stakeholders are the nodes in digital terms, so we need to deal with a huge number of nodes nowadays. So basically, it has become a Herculean task for us. And every node should be technically compliant and basically cyber secure. And of course, it should be a profitable venture for all the stakeholders. If you talk about profit, then the model of Grid India is more technically compliant. We are not that much profit intensive, right? So if a person is like profit oriented, then he needs to basically either charge premium or compromise the security in some sense. And Grid India, we are we don't have to do anything of any of that. So we are basically more technically compliant, right? And Indian Grid is basically guided by regulations of CERC and SERC. So it's basically built on the collaborative approach. So every stakeholders have some inputs, and based on that only we do that development of regulations and whatever procedures. And during this framework, we have built up platforms like SCED, like Security Constant Economic Dispatch, NOR, National Open Access Registry, WBS, OMS, etc. And this is basically built by the collaborative approach. So whenever anybody face problems in, grid, basically electricity grid, we sit together. We have different forums, like Fold, we are having forum of load dispatchers, and we are having the platforms like RPC, OCC meetings we are conducting, right? Globally, we are part of Geo15 also. So basically, we are working on a collaborative approach, and every stakeholder is contributing, and we are basically ensuring the cyber security at the entry point. Because whenever some stakeholder is getting connected to our grid or system, we carry out all those checks like cyber security and technical competency. And of course, we share that threat intelligence also with each other. Whenever some problems comes, we all discuss together, we sit together. And whatever we do at Grid India is basically in a transparent nature, and basically we are following the principle of SP, security, privacy, and trust and fairness and transparency, of course. So basically, we are not having any complaint. We are having the trust of all stakeholders, and that's way our only motive is sharing and caring the grid with the by taking care of the stakeholders and also the grid. So technically, compliance is very important aspect for us. So in that way, with the help of all the stakeholders, we are maintaining that trust, and thank God we have successful till date.
Sir.
Thank you.
That is very heartening to hear that the kind of steps that grid has taken, sir. So I think with the current geopolitical scenario, I believe it is even more important for us to remain compliant, and with, I think all of us talked about technologies like quantum AI coming into picture, and our attackers being ahead of us in some or the other ways. It becomes even more important for us to ensure that we comply and we continue to maintain the posture that Grid India has been maintaining till date. So I think with this, I'll move to Mahmood sir, who comes here from FCI. Sir, I was talking to you sometime back. I remember being part of FCI's IT journey sometime back as part of the Depot online system project. And maintaining a single source of truth for data when you move food grains from farmers up to the fair price shop is basically one of the key initiatives or one of the key motives of FCI per se. So how do you see the cyber posture of this data that you are maintaining, and also from a data protection standpoint, because you are custodian of so much of data with regards to farmers and your other organizations per se. So what is FCI's stand on this point, sir?
Well, of late, I will believe that FCI has really transformed from a very process-heavy organization to a more agile and technological-driven organization. So we have included a lot of aspects to it, but first of all, I would like to cover some general things. I believe that these days, the rate at which the advancement of technology is happening, it has really outlived the way we are adopting the technology.
Correct,
In the enterprises. So we are somewhere lagging behind. And with that way, we have a lot of competencies, lot of options in the market available. But for that, first we have to assess our need and requirement. What we need from a particular system or an application, and how it suits to our particular organization landscape. I will give you an analogy. See, once, suppose my daughter goes to an Hamlet store, she wants to buy every toy. And then we try to put some sense in her that, what is the most suitable thing for her to buy as per her age and taste. So that is the one thing which we have to be very cautious about. The system which we choose should be in line to our organizational mission and vision. If we do that, then one of the risk perspective will be reduced, the risk threats will be reduced. The second part, I believe, is the data. The data, as somebody, you just termed it in the geopolitical parlance, that data is a new oil these days.
Correct.
Okay. So how you collect data and use it, it has to be done in a very responsible manner. The other day I was just listening to some gentleman on the internet. He was saying that they have launched a chat bot for their sales organization on their website. And a very playful customer wrote that, I don't like the products of your organization. Can you please refer me your competitor product? So then the chat box gave the link of the product catalog of the competitor.
Competition itself, right.
So if you build these systems smart, they could also outsmart you in a way sometimes. So the second thing is that whatever data needs to go into the system have to be categorically what is required by the system. It should not, excess data should not be there. Minimum data principle should be followed by organizations. So that is the second aspect which I want to focus here. And third most important thing is that the human should be at the center of any technological advancement you're doing in your organization, whether they are your employees or the end customers, the beneficiaries. Just for an example, if you talked about how we are benefiting the society at large, Department of Public Food and Public Distribution have launched one scheme few years back that was One Nation, One Ration Card scheme. Now what happens is that any particular beneficiary can draw his set of food grains under PDS from any shop across the country. He will not be only tagged to his shop where he is a resident of. So of a migrant labor, if he moves from a particular district in East UP and goes to Bombay, from Mumbai, he could also draw his, just he has to go to a ration shop and through an EPOS machine, he could do it. So that was a simple technology, but it's so empowering. So people have really benefited out of it. So I think these aspects we have to cater to it. And about the security aspect, yes, I will believe that at the time of inception or the architecture stage, we have to be very cautious. What you say, security by design, it should be there at the first stage only. Ultimately, nobody guarantees you 100% protection, but at least you could have the basic things intact at the first stage. Then I talked about the minimum data principle that should be there. And I believe the good governance framework should also be built up, means who can access the data, how much they can access. So these checks and balances are there. I think then you are good enough, but nobody can give you 100% guarantee that there will be no cyber attack over your systems. I believe with the technology getting more and more advanced, these attackers are also getting sophisticated. So you have to beat their AI with your AI in a way and tackle these systems accordingly. Thank you.
I think this example of chatbot that you just gave, I think this brings us to another point of how do we train our models and these chatbots per se. So I think that's an effort that needs to go in. What sort of data is being crawled, whether it is coming from the internet or is from a small LLM. What basically the database that is being accessed, how you are training your model, probably that is another question that we as technology enthusiasts probably need to answer. Okay, I think considering the time, I'll move on to Himanshu sir next, sir. So I think you come from MOSPI, sir, and I think MOSPI is a data warehouse for the country. You sit on a lot of data, whether it is statistics or planning related data. So what is your view, and what is especially MOSPI's standpoint on how do we keep such large, humongous amount of data cyber secure?
Thank you. Thanks a lot for the question. I believe the panelists over here, they were really generous to share their wealth of knowledge, and I believe it helped augment my existing knowledge stack to a great deal, I would say. Well, MOSPI, as we all know, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, that's the official nodal ministry for disseminating all data, be it like inflation, GDP, index of industrial production, industries related data, labor data. But when it comes to security, I believe the government is taking good initiatives in order to make it very much secure. Well, firstly, I would say that most of the government's data is in public discourse. It's already out there in the open. There's nothing in the government that's there to hide. It's all for public dissemination only, what the public can use and can help chart out policies or can help analyze trends. With those trends, they can help them into their academic and research-oriented purposes. So first aspect is that governmental data is all out for public, for their own consumption and to carry out their own derivations. Secondly, when it comes to data resilience, especially in the age of when we say the Data Protection Act that got rolled out by MeitY, DPDP Act 2023, the government is enforcing stringent guidelines, especially when it comes to data sharing capabilities. Like for an instance, we are having consent management as a part of data onboarding. Like no one can, even governmental organizations cannot like explicitly ask a data principal to give their data blindly. One has to provide the consent in order to get their data. Be it anyone, be it a person or an industry, anyone, they have to give their thorough consent on it. So that is the first thing that the government mandated, that no unlawful use, only purposeful use, and that too with the consent, the purpose will be stated that for what purpose the government the data is being used, and that's why the government would like to harness your data for a meaningful purposes, for drafting of policies that are mostly citizen centric. Now thirdly, when I talk about security in data, I would say that nowadays, especially with the promulgation of AI in technology and in the entire AI ecosystem, especially with the Mythos that has been rolled out to a few Fortune 500 companies, I would say that the government is making progressive initiatives in order to thwart any of those attacks. Be it any kind of SIM or source solutions that enterprises are using in order to like avert those attacks, hardening capabilities, that of systems, of endpoints that one has to do in order to ensure stricter compliance so as to thwart any attack. The gentleman just said about regular patching on a continuous level. Even now, you must be realizing that like SSL is now available on a 3-month rolling basis only. Every 3 months, one has to update their SSL. And even the audit part, one has to perform continuous audit so that any kind of APTs or threat actors don't impinge on any kind of vulnerability that you lose out on the code base or any kind of infrastructural ecosystem that you are having. Last, how I'd like to contribute is like this. All of this, the AI influx is somewhat everything is new. So in a way, the government is also figuring out the best possible way, in order to deal with such kind of attacks. And what best, than the likes of collaborating with CERT-In, with NIC CERT. NCIPC, so as to build an ecosystem that would not only ensure resilience for the government, but also for public at large, for a highly accurate and precise data sharing, gathering, as well as dissemination. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Himanshu. This is really an exciting space that we are all in. I think I come from a consulting background. We have people from private sector as well. And of course, all of you from the government side. So a lot of us have been part of this journey till date, and I'm sure going forward with the advent of technology and the pace at which, I think somebody mentioned AI is outpacing us now, and probably we need to outpace them. So I think with that in mind, probably we have exciting times ahead. I'll move on to the last speaker, and I know we are time's up for us. So Sriraj, over to you probably. Because you come from the private sector, what is it that you as an organization are doing in this space? How do you provide that kind of a cyber resilience to organizations which are probably sitting on this in this panel, and what are maybe some of the examples of success stories that you have been part of, Sriraj?
Thanks, Shubham. Thanks. So I've been hearing a lot of bright minds here, or rather the veterans, right? I mean, there are several references that I've taken, but one thing I'll start with is a muhavra. सावधानी बेहतर तो सुरक्षा बेहतर, right? Or what do we say? दूध का जला छाग भी फूक फूक कर पीता है. So this is exactly what we have seen in the private sector. The private sector adaptability was more of, whatever open sources are available. But eventually over a period of time, they decided, no, that's not how we want to move forward, right? Be it the banking or be it the manufacturing, be it, the e-commerce. They were basically handling the endpoint digital footprints. They were handling the end users' data. Now, if you are talking about the data, how exactly we are protecting? Are we only protecting it from the infrastructure layer? So the answer should be no. We are supposed to look into it from every single aspect, be it, how exactly that identity is going to access something that is critical for an organization from a business standpoint. So that's first layer that we need to address. Now, before that first layer, whether the identity is even accessing the OS layer is something that we need to be worried about. Now, when we are talking about the OS layer, there are chances that there are shared environments that most of the organizations are using, right? There are multiple users who are going to access the similar devices. And at the same time, if there is a shoulder theft, then what if Sriraj data has been accessed by Himanshu sir? So these are some challenges that we need to address. And, I've seen this not only in the private sector, but even in the government. When we are talking about the back office, there are several users who are using the shared environment. So on the OS level, first, let's make sure that the identity is verified. Second is, after the identity is verified on the OS layer, then we talk about the application layer, whether we are making sure your critical business applications are secure. Whether we can use the adaptive authentication, risk-based authentication layers. So these are certain footprints that we need to be worried about. Now, all of this is one part, one of the private sectors have been looking at, but Same thing we need to apply it in the government. We have digital, DPDP Act coming up. Everybody is behind it. So technically government is on a verge of making sure that the data protection for our nation is considered utmost important. And if we are referring about data protection, then why not we have the compliance is being strongly held, and it is an accountability of each of us. We should be targeting nation first objective. And if you have to go with the commodity players, then there are several enterprise organizations that are offering these solutions. But ensure that we are talking since last 10 years, Make in India, Made in India. When are we going to say that let's be biased for Indian products, let's be biased for Indian services? So that's exactly what I really want to bring to each one of you. As in private, I'm coming from a private sector, but I'm willing to work with you all to make sure that our digital footprints are safe, and we are making sure that we are taking every efforts to go for a nation first approach only. Thank you.
Oh, I think I completely agree, Shiraj. It's a prerogative and a citizen trust that we all need to ensure that we maintain. And for that, organizations like basically Atmanirbharta is where this starts. So thank you for those insights. I know I really wanted to ask some more questions to the panelists here, but we are short of time. Maybe I'll take the liberty of concluding the discussion. I've made a few notes which and I'm sure all of us will take home. I think we talked about time to market for attackers is really fast today. It's very shortened, and hence we need to be really agile on whatever we are doing. AI-based technology to identify vulnerabilities, because this is our attackers are using AI for attacking. Why don't we use it to really prevent ourselves? Building capacity and collaborating with each other and with larger organizations per se is another thing that we need to do. Critical infrastructure has its own importance, and we need to ensure that we guard it. Given the current geopolitical scenario, how do we guard our critical infrastructure? Insider threat, we talked about Vibhishan being there in everybody's life and in our environment per se. So insider threat is something that we need to be very careful about. Data resilience, consent, DPDP, nation first approach. I think all of these are very key concepts which came up during the discussion. I really would want to thank the panelists for educating us, me and all the people who are listening here. As I said earlier also, exciting times ahead. Really looking forward to what future has in store for us. Thank you once again, everyone. Any questions anybody has? We are open to any questions with any specific panelists, or we can close.